Welcome to Would I Lie to You, the show with unvarnished truths and highly polished lies. On David Mitchell's team tonight, a man whose list of TV credits is almost as long as his inside leg measurement. It's Richard Osman. And an actress who once had a job peeling potatoes in a chip shop in Bolton. But she had a dream, and one day it came true. They let her batter the fish. It's Diane Morgan. And on Lee Mack's team tonight, the star of This Country, who once worked as a barmaid in a pub, which explains why I haven't been able to get her attention all evening. It's Daisy May Cooper. And a TV star who appears alongside Matt LeBlanc. Now, to be honest, I was hoping this intro would end with the words Courtney Cox. It's Top Gear's Rory Reid. We begin with round one, Home Truths, where our panellists read out a statement from the card in front of them. To make things harder, they've never seen the card before, so they've no idea what they'll be faced with. It's up to the opposing team to sort the fact from the fiction. Richard, you're first up.
Instead of rock, paper, scissors, I prefer to play my own version of the game, which is worm, pigeon, shotgun.
Please, team.
Right.
What beats what? Like, what is superior to what?
It's pretty obvious, isn't it? Pigeon
What beats shotgun?
Pigeon eat worm.
How does a worm beat a shotgun?
By crawling into the barrel. I mean, how do you think?
What's their hand actions?
Well, shotgun.
Yeah.
Easy. Worm.
Oh,
Yeah. And... OK, let's have a little game. Me v you.
Just
Okay.
before
One
we
pigeon
start
shotgun.
this very competitive bout, tell us what tops what.
It's quite simple. Pigeon eats worm.
The shotgun eats the pigeon.
No, it doesn't, eat the pigeon, does it?
The pigeon shoots the worm with the shotgun.
This is so much you're deliberately trying to make this complicated.
I just want
he's
the
genuinely
truth. I
stupid.
just want to get to the bottom of this.
OK.
Don't think of me as Rob Brydon and think of me as Robert Mueller. I will not rest until I find out what's
That
happening.
makes me Trump.
Yes, it does.
Oh, I don't like the thought of that.
You're a lot smaller, though, so you're Mueller light.
So, you know the rules. It's going to be the best of three.
Best of three.
I've got my own technique, by the way. I'm not going to use my hands.
Now, you've been
I
warned
think you
about
know
this.
which one I'm going to do, don't you? I'm not going to be big-headed. It's not a shotgun.
It's not even a worm, is it? Let's be honest. All right, here we go. Get ready.
OK.
1, 2, 3.
I'll tell you what, we all thought it was ridiculous. We're all into it now, aren't we? Are you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Worm.
sorry.
Shotgun him. Shotgun him.
OK, let's play. Richard needs just one win. He'll have victory.
Yeah,
If
Rob,
Lee...
I think they're following it.
It's a shame we won't now have time to play Would I Lie to You?
Here we go. Come on.
OK, 1, 2, 3.
Shotgun!
It's a convincing win for Richard the Big Man Osman.
So, what do we
wonderful
think?
to see.
I think it's plausible. I'm going to go true.
Yeah, I thought it was a lie until we played it.
Yeah.
And when we played it, I thought, panning out this.
Yeah.
OK, you're saying it's true. Richard, is it true or is it a lie?
It is... a lie.
Rory, you're next.
OK. I am in an ongoing feud with a cat who walked 100 miles to torment me.
David's team.
Whose is the cat?
It doesn't belong to anyone. It's feral. The cat is essentially a criminal, in my eyes. He attacks my cats. He breaks into my house.
He breaks it. How do you mean breaks into your house?
Is anyone going to do the cat burglar joke, or we're letting it go? I don't mind. I'll hand it over if anyone wants it. Anyone want it?
When you say breaks into your house, do you
It's
mean
a cat
he
burglar.
just walks in?
Get rid of the first bit.
Yeah, how does it get in?
First of all, he just walked in through the cat flap because I have my own cat.
Right, that's not breaking in. That is, you cannot blame a cat for walking through a cat flap.
I now have a more advanced cat flap, which doesn't quite stop him 100% of the time.
What is the new cat flaps technique? Is it a chip cat flap?
Yes,
So
it
you've
is.
you've chipped your 2 cats
Yeah.
with a chip cat flap.
Yeah.
But the feral cat sometimes
Are you
hacks
Dr.
in.
Zeus?
What he does is the batteries in the cat flap only last 6 weeks. So he systematically tests the cat flap to see when the batteries have been exhausted, and then when they run out, it releases completely, and then he can gain
Does
access.
he sit on the outside looking at other cats going, I can wait?
So what does the cat do once it gains access?
He beats up my cats, he eats their food, and then he sleeps in their bed.
No.
So is it like a sort of violent Goldilocks?
And what about this 100, you said 100 miles?
Yes, I did.
Talk a little bit more about that.
I called the RSPCA to get rid of this cat. They refused to come out, but they did supply me with a trap. I trapped it, caught it, took it to the local vet. They then said, we'll release it.
Oh, right.
I said, you can't release it near my house because it will just come right back.
Right.
And that's when they said, yep, we'll get the RSPCA to take it to a cat sanctuary 100 miles away.
No.
Up in the sky. No.
I don't think the RSPCA would allow that.
What would allow it to be taken away to a cat
Taking
sanctuary?
away from its family.
But that's the
Friends.
point, it's
Have a
not
family.
its
What do you
family.
mean? How do you know it's not got a family? So you don't.
I do. If it does have a family, it doesn't like them very much because it lives with me.
They could be worried sick.
The vet says the RSPCA will take this 100 miles away
Yeah.
to a sanctuary.
Yeah, give or take.
What happens then?
Well, I have probably 6 weeks of bliss of no feral cat interfering with my cats.
So then what happened?
I was quite sad that Mark Dennis was no longer around.
Who?
Mark Dennis.
Who is Mark Dennis?
Mark Dennis is the cat.
And why Mark
So
Dennis?
bad you named him twice.
Because the cat was a black cat. He was a dark menace, but I didn't want to, paint him with that brush, so I decided to soften it a little bit and call him Mark Dennis.
And then what happened?
He found his way back.
From 100 miles away.
Do you know for a fact they took him 100 miles away? They might, because that sounded unlikely.
No, I believe them, though, because I kept in touch with them. I was worried about the cat, because when I had taken it in, the last few times when it had burgled my house, it had a slight infection in its lungs, and it would snore loudly at night, like a fully grown man would snore.
So you would hear it snoring in the garden.
In my kitchen.
Oh, you break into the kitchen,
Yeah.
beat up your cats, eat all the food, and then have a really loud sleep.
When you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous.
So describe, if you can, the moment when Mark Dennis returned, because it must have been quite dramatic.
And noisy.
Sorry, you're taking me back.
Yeah.
Again, it was the snoring. I thought, it can't be Mark Dennis, because he's 100 miles away. I went down, and then he did the usual thing. He ran for the cat flap and ran into the garden.
Diane, what are you thinking?
Well, at first I didn't believe when he said the RSPCA drove it 100 miles. But then he's naming it, and it's got a lung infection.
Yeah.
Yeah, the name is the... I mean,
Name,
it's a
yeah.
good
Mark
name to come up
Dennis.
with, Mark Dennis, Doc Menace.
I think it's true.
I think it's true.
True.
So you're going to say true?
So we're going to say true.
OK. Rory, was it true or was it a lie?
Well, it was very true.
Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. Now, this week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Jamie. So, Rory, who is Jamie to you?
This is Jamie, and after a mix-up in a tattoo parlour, we now have each other's tattoo.
Daisy, how do you know Jamie?
This is my ex-boyfriend, Jamie, and I used to put sleeping pills in my parents' tea so I could sneak him into the house.
And finally, Lee, what is your relationship with Jamie?
This is Jamie. While staying at an Airbnb, I mistook him for an intruder and attacked him with a whisk.
So, there we have it. David's team, where would you like to begin?
Daisy, when did you go out with Jamie?
When I was about 14, 15,
Where did you get the sleeping pills?
my mother had them to get to sleep.
What was the drug?
It was just regular kind of night-old sleeping pills.
I don't know.
Over the counter.
Over-the-counter
Over the
ones.
counter.
But they weren't prescription. They weren't like some hardcore thing from
No.
from a doctor. So you were trying to get them just to nod off a little bit earlier than they would have done.
Yes.
What sort of time would you administer the dose?
So I would administer, especially when they're watching Inspector Morse, so I'd say, can I make you a cup of tea? They'd say, yes, please, and I'd be in the kitchen putting them in the...
How many times did you do this? How often did you do this as a tactic?
I think for the duration of our relationship,
Which was?
about a year.
What was it about Jamie that was so unacceptable to your waking parents?
Because he was a very angry goth. And he didn't treat me very well.
See, I wasn't necessarily assuming that your parents didn't approve of the relationship, just that they didn't approve of you, the
No.
thought of you holding hands with him.
No.
Did you think you were coming on Jeremy Kyle?
So, you've drugged your parents. What happens next?
Then they go to sleep.
What, in the chair?
No, they say...
And you say, come on in, you come, my lover, don't worry about them, they're out for the count.
They say, strangely, this episode of Inspector Morse doesn't seem as gripping as yours. Let's get an early night. Who cares who did it?
They get very tired
Yeah.
watching the show. They pootle off up to bed. At this point, he's finished work at the Chinese restaurant, so I sneak him round the back gate.
And because
he
he's a
comes into
goth,
the
he's
house.
very well camouflaged in the
He's
dark.
Then Mum goes to bed, and we just listen to Iron Maiden very quietly and write goth poetry together.
I've never heard that euphemism.
No,
but-
yeah.
OK, and this happened for about a year, and were your parents unaware of the relationship altogether?
No, because they woke up once. And
You went and got the chloroform and the hanky.
so they woke up, and my mum walks into the room to find some black goth hair on my pillow and says, Paul, which is my dad, get down here now. Daisy's smuggled in Jamie. Kick him out of the house and say something responsible. So my dad said, get out my house, you pillock.
OK, now then, what about Rory?
OK, so Rory, what was going to be your tattoo, and what tattoo did you end up with?
I wanted a tattoo of a crescent moon, quite classy. Instead, easy. Instead, I got a picture of Popeye's face.
And where?
Just there on my left shoulder blade.
Have you still got it?
Yes.
And how did the mix-up occur?
We were on holiday in Thailand together. Bit of a lads booze up. One thing led to another. We all got a bit merry, shall we say. And I don't think it was Jamie's idea. I think it's probably Sam, my other friend, who said, let's all get tattoos.
Yeah, that sounds like Sam. That's a kind of...
It's a very Sam thing to do.
Yeah.
When was this, Rory?
Late 2000s.
The late 2000s?
Sorry, early 2000s, my bad.
The early 2000s.
Well, the late 2000s would be nearly 1,000 years. A long time in the future.
So you're in Thailand.
Yeah.
Talk us through the tattoo parlour. Where was it situated?
Koh Phangan. So you fly in, you get to Bangkok, and then I think...
If you're lucky.
And then you travel to Koh Phangan, and there's this little parlour, and they're used to tourists coming in all the time, and they have multiple beds, if I remember correctly.
How classy.
And not that kind of establishment. And then you choose out of a book what you want.
Yeah.
And then you kind of
So I
go...
know what a book is.
I'll have the number 4, Jamie wanted the number 5, or
With
whatever
rice,
it was.
or...?
Not that kind of establishment. And then they
So it is neither a restaurant nor a brothel. The kind of establishment it is a tattoo parlour with beds and a low standard of administrative competence.
You'd have gone out of the storm on this stag weekend, David.
Rory, how long was it before you realised the mistake?
Immediately. Yeah, you stand up, there's a mirror there, you go like that. And there wasn't a picture of a classy crescent moon, there was a picture of Popeye's face with the pipe and everything.
Who was more upset by this outcome, you or Jamie?
Me, by far.
Right.
Absolutely. He's now got a classy crescent moon on his back. I've got Popeye. Are you not following this?
OK, now then, what about Lee? Remind us, Lee, of your claim.
So this is Jamie, and while staying in an Airbnb, I mistook him for an intruder, and I attacked him with a whisk.
OK. And where was the Airbnb?
The Airbnb was in Rye.
And why were you staying in an Airbnb in Rye?
Because I like to get away from my family, full stop. I like to go away and write and just get some peace and quiet, so I go away for 2 or 3 days, occasionally, very occasionally.
Why did you
Get married in the first place? I don't know. I've asked myself every day the same question.
Why did you choose a whisk over a knife?
Well, as you may know, that a lot of people that are attacked in their home are often attacked with their own weapons, because what they do is they take a weapon, like a hammer, and they go, get out my house, and then the burglar panics, and then he grabs the hammer, and a fight ensues, and then the person ends up getting injured. So when I opened the drawer, I had to make a selection. And I couldn't go knife for the reasons I've just explained. I looked at big rolling pin. I could get attacked with that. But you can't go the other way either. You can't pick up the Mr. Men jelly mould. And I had to find out what was the perfect middle ground between... It looks aggressive and offensive, but I think it'll be all right if he tries to hit me with it. What's the most he's going to do? Mess my hair up?
And you wouldn't want a knife, you wouldn't want to kill him. You'd have a whisk, you could just beat him.
You beat with a fork, you whisk with a whisk.
The applause begs to differ. Let's set the scene. Paint a more vivid picture for us.
It was daytime.
It was daytime?
Yeah. I mistook him for an intruder because I subsequently found out that on the email that was sent by the person who owned the house, they said, oh, by the way, someone's coming, whatever it was, Saturday afternoon to have a look at the wood-burning stove. I hope that's OK. There'll only be 20 minutes or whatever. So I was asleep, and it was about midday, something like that, and I hear a noise downstairs. And then he starts playing around with the wood-burning stove.
Oh, no.
And I get worried. I think someone's down there.
Because the noise is sort of...
Sorry, well, you are Welsh. Are you asking me the time? And so I go downstairs and I see this figure I panic. And I was going to say, get out, or else. I don't know what I was thinking. I just ran at him.
I'll whip you to a soft peak.
Oh, no, I definitely didn't say that to him. No, never say that to a strange man in your house, David. And I whacked him on the back really hard, just kept whacking him and whacking him.
You hadn't previously challenged him or asked him why he was there. You just went straight in and battered him with a hand whisk.
I just panicked and I was
Just straight in,
He
went to the kitchen, got the hand, batter, batter, batter.
No, there's no batter involved.
We need an answer. So David's team, is Jamie Rory's branded buddy, Daisy's smuggled sweetheart, or Lee's innocent intruder?
What do you think, Diane?
Well, I'm not sure about night owl. I don't think it's that strong. So I think Daisy's lying.
Yeah.
How old do you have to be to know about Popeye?
Oh, that's...
Because I think
Why would he pick... Yeah.
it doesn't ring true.
OK.
You know that if it's not Daisy and not Rory, that means it's Lee.
Can't believe.
So, what's it going to be, David?
I think it's Daisy.
You think it's Daisy?
I could be persuaded that it's Daisy.
We'll go with Daisy.
You're going to say Daisy?
Yeah.
Jamie, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Jamie, and I used to sneak into Daisy's house.
Well done, guys.
Yes, Jamie is Daisy's smuggled sweetheart. Of course, this is not something you should ever do, putting sleeping pills in someone's tea. And thank you very much, Jamie. Which brings us to our final round, quickfire lies. And we start with... It's Lee.
I was genuinely invited to Harry and Meghan's wedding today, but I said no because I had to come here and do this.
David's team.
Why were you invited?
Well, that, David, is as much of a shock to me as it is to you. I'm on
Do
the
you
telly.
know, for example, Prince Harry or Meghan Markle?
Well, I've met Prince Harry and he was very nice and he did say that he was a fan of this show. So he's definitely seen me because I'm on this show.
If this is true, it's a bit of a blow to me and Rob. Because...
Well, this is...
I wasn't invited. Maybe Rob was as well.
I really can't say.
I think we know if Rob was invited,
Yes.
he would be able to say.
Well, this is interesting because I want to know if you were invited because as soon as I got the invite, I met Prince Harry and I know he's a fan of the show. So I immediately assumed that you two had been invited as well.
Yeah.
So I went to phone you and I phoned you first and I put the phone down because I didn't want to ask in case you hadn't been invited. I thought it wouldn't be a good idea.
Yes,
so
it would be a horrible thing to let slip, wouldn't it?
Yes.
If you'd been invited, it would be a horrible thing to do to someone under any circumstances, even if it wasn't in public.
So you think he's going, OK, George Clooney,
Yeah.
David Beckham, Oprah Winfrey, Lee.
So he didn't even know my surname.
I should point out to people watching at home that it is the royal wedding day today. Yeah. As we record this, it happened today, didn't it?
They're
And it was a lovely wedding as well.
Look,
Oh,
they're
it
not
was
rather
it brought
lovely.
people
It was
together, didn't it?
absolutely
And you know what
lovely.
I'm glad about?
Yeah.
I'm glad he wasn't there.
Yes. That would have spoiled it for me, I think.
Did it come through the post?
It went through my agent.
It was more like a booking. Were they expecting you to do some of your silly humour or something?
Did you have a +1 as well?
Yes, I did.
And so your wife was happy for you to come and do this instead of going to the royal wedding?
Well, actually, my wife couldn't go anyway. So that was the other problem as well. And then I thought, well, who would I take? And I did actually think of one of you two. I thought that's going to be more awkward. So I immediately... But then I thought maybe it's not awkward. If David's been invited, as I suspected, and Rob hasn't, I'll take Rob. And then we're all going. There was a lot of social etiquette. I was a mess.
That is the other question. Why didn't... Because the wedding finished...
Well, this is the irritating
at about
thing.
1.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
there was a lunch.
I got the invite that said the wedding is going to be at 12 o'clock. And I thought in my head, no one would say 12 o'clock, meaning that's when the wedding is. That would mean, you know, you turn up at 12 o'clock, And then you go through all the rigmarole of security, blah, 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 and actually the wedding's going to be about 2. Then you've got the actual ceremony, then you've got the meal. I wasn't going to get here because...
Yes, it's like when you buy theatre tickets. The time is just when they think you should leave home.
Look, lads, I appreciate you're angry.
Yeah. Very angry.
I didn't write the invites.
Very angry and very hurt and very bruised, whether this is true or not. That's the terrible thing, because my thought processes have gone down the lines of it being true, and it feels like I've been through it emotionally, even if I haven't.
OK, time to decide.
Well,
I think it's unlikely. I'd love it to be true, but I think it's unlikely.
I wouldn't.
this has been... this has been one of the most psychologically damaging thought experiments I've ever gone through. And so I couldn't... I don't think I could pronounce the words, I think this is true. Oh, I just did.
You think it's true?
We're going to say lie?
I think lie.
Lie, we're going to say lie.
I've a horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that it's true. It's like waiting with a specialist for a result.
Yeah. Ironically, if this is true, when that moment comes for both of us, it'll just be a mercy.
So, Lee, tell us. They think it's a lie. I pray it's a lie.
It is, in fact, true.
Well, I hope that's the last question of the evening.
Well,
how did you
thank
keep
you
that
for
secret?
watching. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for watching.
Oh, actually, there's something else as well. Sorry, I've got to tell you this as well, which is quite important. This is a true story as well. I was lying. Look at the smile on his little face. Look at his little happy face.
You're OK. It's all right. It's all right. Yes. Praise be, it was a lie. Of course it was a lie. Lee wasn't invited, of course he wasn't, to Harry and Meghan's wedding.
Do you know what I think? I think the producers of this show are just trying to turn us against each other.
They're doing a good job. And that noise signals time is up. It's the end of the show. I can reveal David's team has won by 4 points to 0. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night.